Welcome to the I Learn, Therefore I Can podcast, an iRise performance consulting production where we explore the dynamic world of performance through a learning and development lens with a focus on achieving excellence. I'm your host, Lonnie Gregory, and I'm inspired by those of you that wish to be better at what you've been asked to do. Surprise! It's just me. No one else is talking today but me. So I decided to focus on myself today and what I'm learning. Therefore, I can go ahead and do something. And let me tell you, friends, I am learning a lot. I'm learning so many things. And not just about podcasts. I'm learning about cameras. I'm learning about lighting. I got to tell you the story about lighting. I'm learning about microphones. And I'm learning how much I really dislike Mac computers. I'm sorry, Apple computers, Mac, Apple, Whack, Zapple, it doesn't matter. I really do not like this M thing sitting on this desk. Anyway, I digress. I am learning a lot, and I am pleased with my learning. So I'm going to apply the podcast format to myself. So Lonnie, what is that thing that you learn, therefore you can go do something? Wow, that's a fantastic question, Lonnie. I'm learning there is so much that I don't know. Therefore, I'm diligent in pursuing knowledge and practical ways to become better sooner so I can do more of the things that I aspire to do. I know squat. Even with my sense of intuition, my ability to kind of make sense of things and put things together and figure things out, it's a fantastic thing to be humbled by failure. To be humbled by failure. In fact, I've gotten to the point where I laugh at myself for the things that I don't know how to do well, that I try anyway, and then I watch the effects of it. And I say to myself, that was really bad. Go do it again. I'm learning to persevere in a different way than I had ever had to do before. Well, that's one thing that I'm learning. The other thing that I'm learning is about focus. Focus. Bruce Lee once said, I don't fear the man that practices 1,000 kicks. I fear the man that practices one kick 1,000 times. One kick 1,000 times. I'm learning that through repetition, I can get better. But within that repetition, I can't be all over the place. I got to be focused on one thing, like lighting. Be focused on lighting. Understand camera settings. Understand ISO. Understand aperture. Understand warm. Warm, right? Like that light is warm. It should be warmer. Let's make it warmer. I'm trying to figure out warmer. So I play with the knobs. I learned to play with the knobs, therefore I can have a warmer background. I don't think this background right now is very warm. It seems to be very bright. But I'll examine the footage. I'll come back and I'll play with the adjustments to see if I can get myself to understand and appreciate what warm looks like, and more important, I think, what it feels like. Anyway, I'm learning about cameras and lighting. I'm also learning about cables. They're all over the place. So you look at this background, you go, wow, that's a cool setup. He's got it going on. You don't see what's happening behind the camera. Behind the camera, this place can be a wreck. And I've got a really huge room. In fact, I took the master bedroom and turned it into my studio and office. So I've got the biggest room other than the living room. That's next, by the way. Other than the living room to create this production, I've got some things in mind. But this place is a wreck. There's cables all over the place. You know what? I finally learned the difference between USB 2 and USB 3. And you say to yourself, well, what's the difference? The difference is in the number. Why is that number different? It signifies something. The number on these ports signify its ability to do something differently from the other port or to do something better than the other port or designed to accommodate certain connections. I learned that, therefore I can take the plug and stick it in the right port. Before, if it fit, it went in. I tell you, I'm learning so much. Here's the other thing that I'm learning. I'm learning that I can only focus, but for so long. I'm learning about Lonnie. I'm learning more about me, what I can tolerate, what my focus levels are like when they show up. I'm learning about my sleep patterns, my eating patterns, because I've got things to do, things to accomplish. I try to get it all done. You can't do everything at the same time. Or you can't accomplish everything all in the same day, particularly when you don't know what you're doing to begin with. I gotta tell you a story. I was up late one evening playing, right, twisting knobs, flipping switches, adjusting stuff, playing with cables. And I remember I got up from the office and I went to the living room that is going to become a studio one day. And I stood there and walked around in circles, like literally did 360s in the middle of the living room because I forgot what it is that I went in there for. Like, why did I get out of my seat? So I know some of you have experienced this, those of you who got the hair color that I have, or you've watched others experience that, or someone has told you that they've done something similar. But I found myself blanked, not knowing what to do next. So I decided to sit down and watch one of my favorite YouTube channels, Closer to Truth. That always inspires me. Lawrence Kuhn. If you haven't seen Closer to Truth, you need to check that out. Powerful production about the cosmos, the universe, spirituality, God, religion, all of that. Right up my alley. Anyway, I learned that I can only do but so much in a day. But before my mind starts to wander and I start doing 360s in the living room, that's kind of fascinating. And it's kind of funny. So I sat myself down. Oh, here's another thing that I learned. Notice the strings on the glasses? I learned that if I don't connect these glasses to my face, I will sit them down in this mess and I won't find them for another 20, 30 minutes. It's the funniest thing. So I went ahead and broke down, got the old man chain or rope to put on my glasses so that I can take them off and they're still there and I don't have to look for them. Here's the other thing that I learned. Let's talk about exercise. I like to ride my bicycle. I haven't done that in a minute. Matter of fact, I looked at my bike the other day and it rolled its eyes at me. I'm not getting the exercise that I need to get right now. I'm kind of sedentary, or at least, just walking around the house and doing things. But I was underneath my desk, rewiring, tinkering, trying to get things just right, like on the YouTube channels. And I hurt my back. I twisted something, right? It didn't crack or pop, but it went, it made a noise, for real. It went, oh my gosh, did it hurt. It hurt terribly. I was in so much pain, I didn't know what to do. Anyway, I learned that you got to get the exercise in. You got to stretch, you got to move, you got to run, you got to sweat, right? You got to build strength, you got to build stamina. And you also have to change your perspective. You have to change your environment. You have to change the type of stress that you're putting on your body. You have to figure out other ways to exert yourself. Otherwise, the exertion, at least for me, that I was putting out there was singularly focused and becoming less and less effective. So, while I knew I'm supposed to exercise, and I had been previously, I stopped. So I learned that you can do that. Therefore, I can be productive. Just get the exercise in. Anyway, I learned that thing as well. I learned things about my friends, how supportive they are, how encouraging they are. And I think I mentioned it on a previous podcast or something that I wrote. But I'm humbled by the support that I'm getting, to try to do this thing. It's incredible. I'm also confused. Maybe that's not the right word, confused. I'm also curious about the help or the support or the participation or the consideration that I'm not getting. Like, I wonder what's up with that. Anyway, I'm going to park that in the back of my mind. There's not much I can do about that, I think. I need to ponder that as well. But the thought did come across my mind that the relationships that I believe in and the relationships that I aspire to have don't just occur, right? Something else has to happen. Anyway, the other thing that I learned about relationships is the new friendships and the new relationships that I've gained since I've started this venture. So you saw my man Gilmore the other day. What a cool dude. I like that guy. He's rich. He's full of experience and knowledge and wisdom and insight. And he pieces things together so well. We only spent about 50 minutes together in that last episode. But there are hours and hours and hours and hours of opportunity to learn from Gilmore, to be with him, to understand what he does, what he tries to do, what his mindset is, what his philosophy is, what his history is. I can't wait to talk to him again. And I've made some other cool friends too, people I just didn't know, people that I reached out to that responded. You have those initial conversations, you kind of feel each other out. And then all of a sudden you go, wow, you're cool, right? And you click and you talk and you envision possibilities together. I responded to someone's post on LinkedIn not too long ago. It was about DISC. Like, oh yeah, I love DISC, use it all the time or have used it. I'm a practitioner, this, that, and the other thing. I immediately got a response. Oh, you like DISC too? And we had this conversation about DISC. It's powerful, and me and this friend, we're going to try to go and do something with respect to DISC. Stand by for that. There are people that I am meeting now that I'm glad to meet. It also allows me to reminisce or to recall like past relationships, folks that I just haven't spoken to in a long time. I got this really cool guy that I know from my government contracting days, defense contracting days. And I actually wrote a note to myself in my notebook. I wrote his name down and said, do not go to sleep until you reach out. And I got to be honest, it was about 3 o'clock in the morning when I finally got a note in to this gentleman say, I refuse to go to bed until I reached out to you because you've been on my mind. He wrote me back later that morning and said, so glad to hear from you, etc., blah, 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 and get some rest, right? That's the other thing. I learned about the need for rest. So I take now to help maintain my focus, just little 10-minute, don't do anything. Just sit there, be still, be quiet, listen, pay attention, reflect. So I am a reflective practitioner. So I don't close my eyes and fall asleep until I've considered how the day has gone. Now I consider that periodically throughout the day as I'm resting my eyes, my spirit, myself. Speaking of eyes, it's the other thing that I'm learning. These lights, these things that you set up, I think they're having some type of impact on my eyes. I was watching some of my videos and I can see myself just blinking very rapidly, almost like I can't control it. Now, I'm a natural blinker anyway, but under the lights, it seems like my eyes get dried out or something. They become uncomfortable. No, I have to blink. So I'm trying to work on that. I'm going to go see my optometrist, eye doctor, ask them what's up. I'm due anyway. and get me a new pair of glasses. I think I need a new pair of glasses. Anyway, I'm learning so much. I'm having so much fun. Uh, and when I'm not having fun, I'm having very serious deliberations with myself about what to do next. Fortunately, I got a partner. I got somebody that I'm working with. I told you about her uh, in the introduction, the very first episode. And her and I are plotting and scheming and planning. She's wonderful. We're going to do things that we believe we can and that we should. Right? We have learned things. Therefore, we need to share what we've learned, what we understand, and invite others into conversation with us about those things that we believe. And those conversations are great. They are rich. They are warm. They are inspiring. They are thought provoking. Uh, and I'm very happy about those. They help to rejuvenate my thinking and challenge my thinking, which is important. You know, when you work at home and you work for yourself and by yourself, it can get lonely. Now, I'm not suffering from loneliness, but every now and then it'd be nice to just turn your head over there and you know, say something, ask a question, get an impression, then turn your head back and keep going. You don't have that opportunity when you work from home and you work alone. Work from home alone, right? Wasn't that a movie? Anyway, I'm very grateful for these friendships that I'm developing, that I'm growing, that are supportive of what I'm trying to accomplish. Uh, Thank you. You guys know who you are. And for all the folks that have already participated in the podcast, thank you so much. We've had a lot of fun doing it. Those of you that have agreed to be on the podcast, looking forward to having that conversation with you. And for those of you who are like, well, I don't know, maybe not. Uh, I would like to encourage you to have a conversation. If not with me, you can have it with others. I'll just kind of host and moderate. But I'm anxious to hear from you about the things that are going on in the industry, particularly something that's going on right now. And that is the conversation about, I hate to say it, DEI. Now, those of you that know me know I do not appreciate the fact that this thing is now called DEI, diversity, equity, and inclusion. Those of you in this space, you also know that D was followed by I, was followed by B, was followed by E, was followed by A, is followed by J. We know how that went down. Anyway, I'll share more about that at the appropriate time. But the conversations that many of you are having right now about DEI are significant. They're important. I want to have similar conversations myself. I want to have the conversations with you. I've been listening to you on LinkedIn, on your live events, on your webinars. I've been listening to podcasts about that. I've been reading articles. My feed is full of articles about DEI. I think there's more to discuss. This coming month, or right now, it's actually June, I do plan on launching the series on DEI. I've got a whole bunch of folks lined up. Some of you listening right now, you're one of those people. But I'm looking for additional people. So far, I've got like chief diversity officers and those type of people who are responsible for implementing diversity programs in their various organizations. I have practitioners. Those practitioners that go in and do the training, have the tough conversations, help organizations build diversity plans, equity plans, whatever it is that we're calling them these days to escape this onslaught that we're experiencing. We're already starting to pivot, and I'm happy about that. I am not hearing from people who are opposed to DEI program. And I don't know that anyone would admit it out loud, right? At least in this environment. But But it would be nice to hear that voice of dissent that says, I think we're whatever it is that they say. I'd like to understand that experience, that mindset, that set of premise and conclusion, just to help make more sense of where we stand today with respect to DEI. So that's going to occur this month. We're going to launch the DEI series this month. In the meantime, we're going to fill in some of the gaps, that's caused by scheduling or missing scheduling with other content or other conversations. And if I'm you, I go ahead and volunteer to be on the podcast, and you don't have to hear from me when I don't have a guest. I actually do have an episode in the can. There's this young man, again, younger than me, right? This guy is incredibly interesting, phenomenal. He's doing some powerful work up in New York. We met on the Black Speakers Network. Had a few conversations, immediately clicked. I'm like, I got to talk to you. I got to get you on the show. You got to tell the world what you're doing and why. Right? Why are you doing what it is that you're doing? Stand by for that. By the way, the name of the episode is called Shocking Truths About Loss and Legacy. Shocking Truths About Loss and Legacy. It's going to hit one of these Wednesdays. It's not going to hit tomorrow because there's some other things I need to do from a production aspect. I'd like it to be just right. And it's going to be a slight format change. Anyway, I hope you check out that episode. I hope you check out all the episodes. But more importantly, I hope you contribute to these episodes. I'd like to hear from you. So, I learn, therefore I can, wants to talk to practitioners across all of the L&D spaces. If you coach, consult, teach, train, instruct, strategize, whatever you call that thing that you do to help somebody else be better at what it is that they've been asked to do, I want to hear from you. I'd like to know what you're doing, how you're doing it, why you're doing it, how successful you are, how you feel about it, the impact that you're making, or the things that you would like to do differently or see done differently within the industry. I also like to hear from the learning leaders, those of you who reach out to people like me because you trust us, you believe in what we're doing, and you ask us to support what you're trying to accomplish. How are we doing? Are we making you proud? Are we making ourselves proud? Are we helping you achieve the vision that you have for your staff, for your team, for your organization with respect to their development? How are we doing? Tell us. We're listening. I also want to hear from just the consumer of learning products and services. Everyone listening to this call has been to some class, some webinar, listened to some podcast, read some book for the sole purpose of being better at what it is that you're trying to get done. If you're a consumer of learning products and services, I'd like to hear from you. I think we'd all like to hear from you. The practitioners like myself would like to know how we're doing from your perspectives. Share your experiences. Tell us about that trainer, that coach, that mentor, that strategic planner, that person that supported you or your team to accomplish something. Tell us how that went, what your experience was, what you liked, what you didn't like, what you wish was better. The other person I'd like to hear from is just that super achiever, right? That uber achiever that attributes much of their success to the mentoring, the coaching, the training, and the other development efforts that they participated in that allow them to achieve the level of success that they're currently experiencing. That's what this show is about. What is it that we're learning? How are we learning it? Therefore, we can go ahead and do something great and wonderful. DEI series is coming up this month. I'm hoping to have a lot of participation from those of you who are shaping this industry, who've been participating in this business since its inception. I've talked to a couple of you. I've got a lot of guests lined up for this DEI series. You know, some of you know who you are. Others you're going to meet or hear from the first time. I'm just looking for a richer, deeper conversation to share with one another. And what else is happening? What else have I learned? I've learned that I've got a lot to learn. Anyway, this is me catching you up with where we are, what we're doing, what we're trying to accomplish, and how's it going. I'm learning about lighting that's making me blink. I'm learning about cameras that I've called everything but camera sometimes. I've learned about screens, I've learned about speakers, I've learned about microphones. I've learned a lot. I've learned about myself, therefore I can be a better version of myself. Um, that's all. But stand by, and thanks for your support. Thanks for listening. Thanks for caring. Thanks for learning. Be well. That concludes this episode of I Learn, Therefore I Can, an iRise Consulting Performance podcast. I don't know about you, but I'm feeling better about being better at what I was asked to do. Thanks for joining. Thanks for listening. And thanks for learning. Because learning matters and performance counts. Be well.